welcome to the Wand Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
I'm Andrew Sabo, I think.
And we're here to talk about Blackgaard's Revenge, Part 2, the final Blackgaard episode. It's happening, guys. It's not just the final conflict, it's the final conflict.
Yeah, this is the end of the epilogue.
This is the last conflict.
Yes, this is The
final conflict wasn't actually the end.
A final countdown to, per se, last battle.
Yeah, just remember, death is not the end.
Don't feel the Reaper.
This is the worst way we've ever started an episode.
It certainly has the least to do with Odyssey.
Yeah.
So what episode are we talking about? We're talking about Blackgaard's Revenge, Part 2.
Yep. It's episode 425.
Yeah.
First aired October 9th of 1999. That's 10/9/99. It was written and directed by Phil Lawler. You doing okay, Andrew?
I'm hanging in there.
And it's episode 3 on album 33. That's 333.
10/9/9.
Virtual Realities is the title of this album. The name and the artwork come from this episode. But weirdly, okay, we need to talk about the artwork.
Yeah.
Because for a couple reasons.
I'm pulling up the wiki.
One, the artwork is Aubrey in this like spiral, and off to the side we have Washington, I assume. We have Blackgaard. We have Jason?
Is it Jason?
Pretty sure it's Jason. Maybe no, it is Caesar. And then it's Lincoln. Never mind. As I open this up, it is Caesar, but man does that look like Jason.
Yeah, it really does. They have the same chin.
Yeah. But the original artwork for this album is Scarring?
Oh.
So, one moment while I pull that up. It's on the wiki, but it is a super low res small image, and so you're going to get more out of it if I give it to you in the official guide. Look at how they depict Aubrey.
Where is Aubrey? Is she in this picture?
Yep. It's Blackgaard, it's Wit, it's Eugene, and that other person
That's Aubrey?
is Aubrey.
Aubrey looks like she's like a librarian wearing Jenko jeans. What?
She has short hair.
Which I am a fan of, in case anybody was wondering.
But then,
She's got John Lennon glasses.
Yeah, she does have John Lennon glasses.
Got a sports jersey on.
Right, that doesn't
Jenko
fully
jeans.
cover her thing. She is very thick.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, yeah.
It's really bizarre, and that artwork was not what was actually used. The one they actually use is like the same artwork, but with a different, more normal looking Aubrey.
Yeah.
Like a little bit more timeless.
Looks
that
like a
one looks
child.
extremely 90s.
Yeah.
And she also looks like the same age as Eugene. I don't know. It's weird artwork.
Yeah, no, she's taller than Eugene.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a forced perspective thing, but also, the artwork does't make sense in that, it's Eugene and Aubrey running towards Wit with Blackgaard looming in the background.
Yeah, no, I'm getting a strangely Lion King-esque of kind of like, you know how Mufasa's in the stars?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting here.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's a visual tangent for everyone listening at home.
Google it, or maybe not. I don't know.
It's weird. Otherwise, voice actor-wise, we have essentially the same cast as the previous episode. There are 2 flashback scenes in this that are new audio. That is Times Square, the Colosseum, and the Philosophers. All the other jumping around throughout Odyssey's history is all pre-recorded audio.
Okay.
That was stuff from previous episodes.
That makes sense.
So the only person who we hear in the new audio is Will Ryan voicing Socrates. We hear Julius Caesar's voice, but his actor is not listed on the wiki.
Probably Phil Lawler.
I mean, there's a chance.
Well, he plays William Brewster.
Right, which is
Pilgrim.
Yes, a pilgrim in the flashback sequence.
Yeah, without that being said...
We don't have a promo. Because,
it's part 2.
Yeah, this is a 2-parter, and they only did a promo for 1 part.
Let's just get into it. So...
How weird.
The episode begins with the
end of the previous
one.
Yeah.
It picks up right where the last episode left off. We got Wit and Blackgaard. Basically, Blackgaard is holding Aubrey hostage in the imagination station, and wants Wit to come in and get her.
Yep.
They have Aubrey's status monitor, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I think about the logistics of the imagination station, which is an incredibly painful thing to do, because
fair,
I've been going back and listening to old Odyssey and listening to the first imagination station adventure with 2 people.
Yep.
It sounds like it's 2 telephone booths, right? Which would make sense. But then you watch the cartoon, it looks like a spaceship. That's
the cartoon does not count.
No, the cartoon doesn't count. However, I'm pretty sure the imagination station in Colorado Springs looks like the one from the cartoon. I could be wrong.
Interesting. I mean, the thing here is Eugene Returns album has the spaceship design of the thing on the cover. So that's kind of what I consider to be canon. But also, there's definitely a thing where I think that there's room for the imagination station to have grown and evolved over the years and been redesigned by Wit.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily... Yeah, I don't think it needs to be one static design that they keep throughout 30 years of this show.
No, I think it can change to... And I think that that's kind of the leniency that they afford themselves with Wit being a notorious inventor. You know, it's just it can basically fit whatever need we need it to because Wit can make it fit. It's within his character to make it fit.
Right. It's like the TARDISes that still have their working chameleon circuit, where they just land in an era and blend into that era.
That's exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
That's exactly. I was when I think about the logistics of it, it feels a lot more like a TARDIS than anything else.
And it is very phone booth in structure early on.
Yeah. And so we need we're talking about these status monitors, right? How does that work?
So Eugene's monitor pulls up Aubrey's status level, which shows brain activity, specifically her higher reasoning.
Yeah. Which, that's just a CAT scan, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Or no, it's not even a CAT scan. I think that's an MRI.
I don't know.
Because MRIs are the ones that show, brain function.
Okay. I will believe you.
Yeah. Interesting. No wonder Wit has infinite money. He made a miniaturized MRI machine. Okay.
Love it. And yeah,
but her reasoning is going down.
Right. Because we need a ticking timer in this episode that will never be brought up again.
No, never.
But her indicator of higher reasoning is falling.
Yeah. She's slowly becoming the mindless drone that everybody dreads. Which, can we talk about the philosophy of the conservative people of the early 2000s and how terrified they were of children becoming mindless slaves? Don't watch TV, it'll rot your brain. Don't do this, you'll become just mindless.
Yep.
We
all survived.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we all survived, and I watched a lot of TV as a child, and I would say that I am far from mindless. I'm not saying I'm mindful, but...
Andrew Acebo, far from mindless. Use that on your resume. Host of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod, far from mindless.
Far from mindless. Manager of toys at the Target lit its location. So basically, what the first 3 minutes of this episode are is just establishing a lot of drama building up these circumstances. So Wit is monitoring. Oh, I'm sorry. Eugene's monitoring her status stuff. Wit is coming up with a plan B. Connie is sent to do the most important thing, which is praying. Which I was like, that's nice. That's good for you.
Yeah. Well, and they throw out the can we just cut the power or pull her out? But they're like, no, that's gonna be
like waking a sleepwalker.
Yeah, which I thought was funny because the waking a sleepwalker thing is brought up in the Eugene Returns 3-parter.
Yeah.
Which.
I thought I had heard it.
Yeah, well, and it's only a phrase. It's only a thing I've ever heard within the context of this show.
Yeah, no, that
I've
makes
heard
sense.
it twice.
Yeah,
and that amused me, and also I know those episodes really well. And then we jump into the Imagination Station, into the vortex within the Imagination Station.
Into the vortex. So it's Aubrey and Blackgaard in the Imagination Station, and they're at Times Square. Because that's where they went last episode, and now it's like, okay, well now what? Now where do you want to go? And Blackgaard's basically showing her all these places. So he starts with the birthplace of philosophy, with in ancient Greece, right, with Socrates and Plato and Aristotle.
The birthplace of reason.
Yeah,
the Parthenon, and it's stated in a way that shows the writer, in this case Phil Lawler's, immense disdain for secular philosophy.
Maybe it's not just secular philosophy. Maybe it's just ancient Greek philosophy. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. However, I would say that I like them.
Yeah.
Plato and Aristotle. I mean, I don't agree with obviously everything they say, but I think.
But the idea of this is sneeringly being the birthplace of reason. I'm like,
wait a minute.
Yeah, but human thought is a good thing.
Yeah. It's quite valuable.
Can we
expanding our level of consciousness isn't anti-Christian. I would say that.
Yeah. I like the idea of trying to run government and stuff based on some sort of common morality versus tying it directly to a religion.
Oof, that's a bit topical for right now, but yeah.
I feel like that's always been topical.
No, it has been. It's been topical. We just only had a podcast for the past couple of years.
But yeah, so there's that. They then jump to the Colosseum, where Blackgaard's like, oh, this is so great. If they give him a thumbs up, they live. And if he gives them a thumbs down, they die. How cool is this? I love seeing people get murdered.
In virtual reality.
And Aubrey's like, I'm not into this. And he's like, really? Why is that? And she's like, let's get out of here. He's like, no, child. Watch people get killed.
Yeah. No. Don't you want to see this man die?
And then we go... Then Aubrey starts choosing the places to go. She first calls July 2nd, 1776, which I like and I thought was funny.
Well, that's the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
But it's not
July
Independence
4th.
Day.
Yeah.
So, and Blackgaard's like, oh, good job on the date. And I'm like, freaking nerds. But also I liked it too.
Yeah, but I appreciate it.
And there's this whole slew then where she's jumping through... She's jumping through all of these American history things, and I'm like, man, Aubrey really is into American history. And then I realize oh no, these are just the only adventures that they've gone on, and that's what they're reusing.
Yep. No. So we get 1776.
Right, which I would like to point out, Ben Franklin in this scene being played by Hal Smith incredibly well.
Interesting.
This is obviously post his death, but that was recorded before. I immediately clocked it as being Hal Smith.
Yeah.
And was just like...
I thought that I heard him.
Really like that they worked Hal Smith into the final Blackgaard episode.
Yeah.
That just feels right.
Whether it was intentional or otherwise, I feel like it must have been.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
She then goes to some... I kind of missed it.
The Spanish-American War.
Yeah. Weird choice.
Yeah, it's some big battle in the Spanish-American
with Teddy
War.
Roosevelt being there, being voiced by Walker Edmonston. And then, I wonder if you get residuals if they use archive audio of you. Because, like, in, like, television and stuff, yeah. But in this, I don't know. So the other... Then we then go to the Pilgrim's Landing in America, with Phil Lawler as Brewster and an unknown person as Bradford. We then go to Columbus, and then Pearl Harbor, and then the Crucifixion.
Yeah, Pearl Harbor to the Crucifixion. Can we talk about that?
Columbus to Pearl Harbor to the Crucifixion. It's like, okay, we just keep going, like, we're just doing American history. Pearl Harbor, wow, okay, bold.
Dark move.
The Crucifixion, and then that's where Blackgaard's like, no.
Yeah.
You can't see that. You can have fruit from every tree in the kingdom, but not that one.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. So, this episode gives me some interesting biblical allegories, because it goes back and forth between that kind of like, okay, you know, Satan in the Garden of Eden situation, but also the Jesus being tempted in the wilderness, especially when it's wit going involved, which I really liked that.
Yeah, well, yeah, and we got to talk about that last week as well. Like, these episodes are nearly just one episode. Like, they are very much a story cut in half. And so, yeah, we really get that here. And, Blackgaard's like, no, like, you don't get to see that. That's not history. That's just myth. And Aubrey's like, well, some people think of it as history. She's not a Christian, but her parents are at this point. And she's kind of grappling with this whole thing and is like, why is, like, that the thing you're afraid of?
Yeah.
Like, why are you like, oh, yeah, you can go anywhere, but then, like, this one thing is off limits? And really, like, kind of duking it out with him about this. And he is losing all of his tact that he's had up till this point.
Yeah, so basically he was super sly for a lot of this and started to really, like, everything was going according to plan, kind of weaving this in, you know, kind of, grooming this girl, for lack of a better word.
No, I mean, very much so. Child
grooming
psychologist.
this girl to literally take over her body, as later revealed. Which is, oof, that's a, yeah. Why did it have to be a girl? Actually, it's not better if it's a dude. Yeah, rape is just rape. We're just gonna go with that. Say rape is bad in all forms, all the time.
Seconded.
The views of Andrew Sabo do, in fact, reflect that of the One Ram Truck Pod.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Aubrey starts to drift into sleep. We didn't cover that earlier, but like that's
the plan, is to get her to fall asleep and then take her out.
Yep. And then you hear Blackgaard screaming for Wit to stop.
Yep.
And he turns down the speaker, which is a great callback to earlier in the episode when he says, I can't control him talking, but I can turn down the speaker. Yeah. And then he later gets to turn down the speaker, which I think is fun. And then, so they're like, okay, I think we won this. We're good. But it's only 6 minutes into the episode, so something's got to change here. And then or maybe it's 8, who knows? Mm-hmm. And then the power starts to surge, and they turn back on the audio, and Blackgaard is threatening to shock Aubrey.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to electrocute you unless you get in here, Wit.
Which is horrifying.
And Wit's like, all right, we're going to do this. Eugene, I think we're ready for plan B. And Connie's like, what's plan B? What's plan B? And Wit's like, I don't have time to tell you, Connie. And I'm like, man, can we get Connie back in the loop?
Yeah, it feels mean. It feels real mean.
I get that we need an audience surrogate, and that's what she's being here. But like...
And she's doing the most. She's doing a great job. We love you, Connie, but wow.
Yeah.
I feel bad. You always get the short stick. They're sweet.
Yeah.
Aborting, yeah. So, basically the only way to get rid of Blackgaard is for Wit to come in personally. And then,
and Blackgaard's like, Aubrey wakes up and Blackgaard's like, I put you to sleep because Wit was going to shock you. And she's like, yeah, that seems likely. And then he just throws out all subtlety and is like, so, like, you want to be, like, super smart and get to do this all the time? I'm going to imprint myself onto your brain. Yeah. You'll get my wisdom and learning, and I'll get to escape this prison.
Yeah.
And she's not into it. And
no,
like,
naturally,
of course.
Yeah, naturally not. Like, this mildly sketchy computer program wants to digitally imprint himself onto my consciousness.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna say no. 'Cause, like...
What, you don't want, like, a creepy old man hitchhiking on your brain?
That's a very powerful image. Especially because, like, you know, brains have, like, all these grooves and stuff.
It's just sliding down in between a couple of them.
Whee! It's like a little Lego man, like a little stop-motion Lego man just sliding around on the outer membranes of my brain.
No, thank you.
Yeah, so anyway, so he throws out all subtlety and says this, you can do things you've never done before. And so the amount of whack stuff that Odyssey puts children through.
Uh-huh. This episode was controversial amongst the writing team as to whether or not this was too far, but Phil Lawler was like, well, in the end, good wins, and so they did it anyways.
I kind of respect that.
I do too.
I'm
saying it mockingly, but like I genuinely am like,
I respect them for pushing the envelope on that and making a product that is less safe but more interesting. And good for them for doing that. I have to say though, I mean that would really mess me up. Like if that were to happen to me as a child.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, this episode is absolutely nuts. So, Whit then goes into the station and offers himself as an exchange for Aubrey.
Right.
Life for life, kind of eye for eye, tooth for tooth situation.
Very crucifixion-y.
Yeah, and then Aubrey
Blackgaard's
gets out.
like, gonna drag Aubrey in, force her to do this thing, and Whit's like, I will offer up my life in exchange for her.
Yeah.
And so Aubrey, he lets go of Aubrey, and Aubrey's like, wait, run, like, get out of here. And he's like, no, Aubrey, I can't. And Blackgaard's like, haha, like, of course he can't. John Avery Whittaker is a man of his word. And
could you imagine if they actually killed Whit here? If this was how the show ended?
This would be a horrible way to end the show.
Blackgaard wins. No.
And so Whit gives up himself. They step through the vortex together. Whit is being electrocuted.
Yeah, there's kind of sounds of him fusing his consciousness with Whit, and the audio engineering of this episode is really good. I wanted to say that. I mean, the whole vortex thing sounds so good, and going from adventure to adventure sounds amazing.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so basically...
Major props to Todd Bustede, who did the sound design this episode.
An absolute madman, a champion.
Yes. And then, Blackgaard gives his villain monologue. Mm-hmm. You fool. You understand now? I don't need your god. I've come up with my own way to have eternal life.
Yeah.
Wait, something is wrong. This isn't what's supposed to happen. What's going on?
It's over, Blackgaard.
And we get, the Twilight Zone music drop.
Yeah. So weird.
And then the sound of the Imagination Station door opening and Aubrey running into Connie's arms and crying that Mr. Whittaker is dead.
Which I'm glad that they showed that side of things because, I feel like what this has been doing to Aubrey has not really been touched on much at all.
No.
Of, her being groomed by an old man. And then, obviously, now this is happening. yeah, it was. I was glad that they showed it. It was a moment of me being like, okay, Odyssey recognizes that this would have some deep, deep impact on somebody's mind.
Yep. And then Wit steps out and is like, no, Aubrey, don't worry. I didn't actually go into the machine. We just uploaded a program that was like me that had the antivirus, in it, and tricked Blackgaard into killing himself.
Boom. That way we're not the bad guy.
Yep. And yeah.
And so you get this whole thing of, Blackgaard's finally gone, really and truly dead.
Yeah.
And may God have mercy on his soul.
Right, which is very Jack at the end of the final conflict.
Yeah.
But the other thing we get is Aubrey asking, so could have he done that? Could have he, got, lived again? And Wick goes, we can't circumvent God's plans, Aubrey. He has the only program for eternal life, and it isn't through computers. It's through Jesus Christ. And then the exchange where Connie's like, then that means Blackgaard is finally, really, and truly dead? It's like, yes, Connie, and he was until literally today.
Yeah.
She
didn't know about that.
He'd been dead for 5 years. Everyone knew. Mm-hmm. He was already really, truly dead, and then the show decided to bring him back. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of an hour or two of him being back, make it very clear of and now he is gone and we will not do this again.
Yeah, no, they definitely write him off into the sunset, and by that I mean write him off into hell, presumably.
Yeah. And then, although he's already, this wasn't even really Blackgaard.
No, he's been dead. It was such an interesting move to do that, to make a Blackgaard's Revenge episode. It's good. I don't think that it's bad. I'm glad that it exists, but
yeah,
for them to give it the ending that they did, only to bring it back with a new Wit, seems a bit unnecessary.
Yeah,
I mean, they ended it really well. They had this whole thing, and now we get this very fun, good adventure, but it just feels kind of out of place because it's completely in isolation from everything else.
Right. That is the problem with this episode. And so I guess the reason this episode exists is we didn't have a final interaction between Wit and Blackgaard. They're being shown as these two opposing forces, but because of Hal Smith's death, they don't get to wrap that up with Wit. They do it with Jack, thinking that that's going to be the end of the series, and then they keep the series going, recast Wit, and are now okay, so Wit continues to exist in this world. We should have him come up against Blackgaard again, but we don't want to bring the man back. It's easy to see how, this would have gone about. Blackgaard has control of Wit's End, knows he's going to die from Ruku, and at that point is okay, well, in the event that I die, which I know is going to happen, what's some way that I can cheat death?
Yeah.
And has access to the Imagination Station and implants this virus in it. I can suspend my disbelief enough that kind of makes sense.
No, it totally does, to me at least.
It's never clear why now.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Is it just a random adventure or something?
I don't know why he just came back at this point. If he was just constantly sitting there going, when is someone going to take a trip in this Imagination Station that is vulnerable and not a Christian? Boom, now I'm springing. I don't know.
I think that's exactly what it was. Either that or it was baked into one specific program and she just happened to be the one who activated it.
Yeah.
That would be the realistic option.
Yeah. And then the other note is that the you can tell in like kind of some of the clunkiness of the scripting at one point. Like Blackgaard, the original script, there was a scene where Blackgaard did actually shock Aubrey, but in this it just has him threatening to do it because they were like, yeah, let's not be that intense.
Let's not torture children
Yeah.
on camera.
But yeah. And then this episode ends on an altar call.
Yeah.
Which is weird because, like, if you're listening through on the Blackgaard Chronicles, we just got that 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
But, and this one is way more hammy.
Yeah,
than
no, it's not. It doesn't leave
the final
a good taste
conflict
in your mouth.
one. I didn't particularly like it, and it didn't seem like it was thematically relevant in the same way.
No, it's not, because Aubrey doesn't
felt-
have a coming of...
No.
You know, she doesn't have a come to Jesus story.
Until Under the Influence.
Yeah, exactly.
It felt very Bible Man to me.
Exactly. It felt completely unnecessary and just enforced. And, yeah, like you said, hammy, where it's just like, okay, we killed the bad guy, now, Jesus. What?
Yeah.
Why would I do that? Oh, well, you don't want to die, right? Like, you don't want to go to hell?
Yeah.
Like, this guy was a bad guy. Like, that's where he's going. Like, you don't want to go there, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. That logic is, I understand that that's a big part of a certain subset of Christian culture, and it's a part that I just have a hard time swallowing. Is just, you know, I don't love Jesus because it gets me out of hell, or because it's even just like, I don't love Jesus because of the eternal life aspect of it, you know?
Yeah.
It's a huge plus side. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's awesome, but it's one of those things where, so what this episode does, right? They kill him off. They talk about the fact that he's dead and finally gone, and then they're like, altar call, because someday you're going to be dead and finally gone,
Right.
and where are you going to be?
Right. So there is...
It's the classic Gen
Well,
X.
so... To, I don't know, tie this together in a way that I think is interesting. So we're talking about Blackgaard and this child, Aubrey, and he's threatening her and manipulating her, and, like, we get that whole thing of, like, yes, Blackgaard is this child psychologist, and he is using, like, his skill in that regard to manipulate this child into trying to take over her.
Yeah.
And then the episode ends with being like, you know what, kids? That episode was scary. You know what isn't scary? My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You should follow him. Bing! And it makes me, it really
Focus
rubs
on the
me the
family
wrong
thing.
way.
Yeah, it's rough. It's not good. And the thing is, I genuinely like this episode.
Yeah, I do too.
I really do. I don't know why they had to end it like this. But,
Yeah.
you know.
Also, this episode's 18 minutes long.
Yeah, it's so
with
short.
with like 2 minutes of credits because there's
Yeah.
an altar call.
Yeah.
I was like, that is crazy. And so it did air on the radio with a shorty about King Solomon at the end.
Oh, interesting.
Because that was a thing that Odyssey tried to do for a while.
Was have like a main story and then a little tack-on story at the end,
Yeah, I don't know, just fill dead air, I guess.
or Bible stuff.
Yeah,
maybe
just like
make
a little
it's
5
like
minute
the Sunday
thing.
school thing where it's like, okay, we watched the Bible cartoon, now we watch the movie. You know.
But yeah, it's a good episode. I think it's a fine way to, like, bring back Blackgaard back for one last hurrah. I don't think it completely undermines his finale in a way that it totally could. Mm-hmm. But it also is not great. Also, Wit ending on "May God have mercy on his soul" is like, I get that that's a callback to the final conflict, but also that was a computer program. Blackgaard has been dead for 5 years, depending on how Odyssey time works. It's really weird for you, Wit, to, like, say that now. It makes it seem like this computer program had a soul, and I don't like that.
Well, and I guess I get some very Harry Potter Horcrux vibes where it's like,
Oh, that is a great point, and it is right at the right time for that to be the case.
Exactly. So I'm thinking.
Although, no, I guess this is pre-Horcrux. Never mind.
Yeah, the 7th book came out in like 2009 or 11, something like that.
I forgot that Horcruxes aren't there from the beginning. But regardless. You know,
Yeah, no.
it's very
They were ahead of
very
it.
Quirrell, the black or Voldemort on the back of Quirrell's head.
Yeah,
There we go.
exactly. It's very interesting. I think that maybe there is some sense of like his consciousness has been preserved in some sort of way. But yeah, no, there's no way that like there is a soul attached to an AI.
Yeah.
Oh. What? Wow. Yeah, there's no way. Nope, no way. Not gonna entertain that thought anymore. That's a little bit more sci-fi than I'm willing to get today.
That sounds like an episode for The Twilight Zone. I don't know. I don't know what else I have to say. It's been fun going through Blackgaard with everyone.
This is it.
This is where we end. This is the end of Odyssey's good versus evil Chronicles saga that is like the most explicitly that of anything.
Yeah, no. I mean, with Novacom, you get
Novacom is way more of a mystery.
Yeah, it's a mystery. It's good
This
guys
is
versus
like
a corporation.
an epic.
Yeah, this is a comic book in the sense where it's like we've got big bad guy over here, big good guy over here, fight. You know.
Yeah. Yes, it's something you would see in the pages of Power Boy.
Exactly. However, what we instead get is we've got good guy here and bad guy here. Let's make our respective children fight.
Yeah.
That's what we got, mostly.
Right. Well, and also, I don't... Do we hammer home enough the fact that Wit has a literal Jesus moment of giving himself up for her?
No, we didn't hammer that home. No.
I would just like to really emphasize.
Really say that they just... Yeah, I mean, they did not try and hide that at all, and, you know...
No.
Not that they should have, because he's doing a good thing, and I definitely sympathize
And it
with
wasn't
that.
actually Wit, it was a computer program being Wit.
Which is, like, worse?
Well, no. Which I was gonna say, then makes Wit God and the computer program his son?
Ooh! Mabel is Jesus Christ. Interesting. This is a part of the canon that we'll have to explore later.
I don't know if Mabel...
Perhaps if we talk to Phil Lawler about it, see what he says.
That was a horrible idea.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Words. I don't have them.
Anything else you want to say? I don't know.
No.
I don't feel like as beholden to make a big deal about this because we did a 2-hour episode on the final conflict.
I don't really know that I have a whole lot to throw onto the end of this 18-minute episode because, I mean, plot-wise, it's been covered. The discussion questions are pretty basic. You know, why did Wit say that Dr. Blackgaard could not have invented a program for eternal life? Well, because eternal life is a spiritual thing, and that is a digital thing. And
I do think it's interesting that Wit also, like, Wit made the afterlife program where, like, he got to experience heaven.
Yeah.
And which was using the imagination station, and now Blackgaard's using it as a way to try and come back from the dead. Also, is like his plan for eternal life to just keep hopping from body to body
pretty
for
much.
eternity?
Yeah. No, it's just...
That doesn't seem like eternal life.
No.
That seems like eternal hopscotch.
Yeah. It's my favorite band. I love Eternal Hopscotch. Gosh, you ever been to a mosh pit at an Eternal Hopscotch concert?
They're
There's just
very
people
punk.
tossing stones and head banging and 1 foot, 2 foot, 1 foot.
Is tossing stones a thing in mosh pits?
No. It's a thing in hopscotch.
Frick me! I walked... Oh, man. Alright, good joke, Andrew.
No. You know, you've hung out with me enough times. The rules were bound to be reversed at some point. I'm just impressed you made it this long. And on a day in which I am in this mental condition, nonetheless.
So, yeah.
What are some ways you can think of to check if people are telling the truth about God? Oof. That's actually a very interesting question. Dylan, what are some good ways to think of you can think of to check if people are telling the truth about God?
I mean, we have the Bible.
Yes.
Put that one pretty high on my list of resources.
Yeah.
Also, people in my life who I trust are walking with the Lord.
Yeah.
Outside of that, trust no one. No.
You are alone in this walk. I think the important thing for me when it comes to like trying to determine the validity of what other people are saying is to just be humble about it and be like, they probably don't have it 100% right, and I probably don't have it 100% right.
That's a good point.
And just be like, you know what? I'm sure that there's a parts of what both of us that are saying that is correct, and so I'm going to choose to lean into those things and kind of do that. And like you said, like do research, formulate your own opinions by leaning into community which you feel safe, people that are older, smarter than you, reading books, reading the Bible, obviously.
Yeah,
the Bible is such a sketchy book to try and to make that be the answer, just because you can read it so many different ways, and chances are what they're saying is probably backed up in the Bible at some point, depending on what it is.
Well, I mean, we talked previous episode about Satan using the words from the Bible
exactly
out of context. So it is a thing of like, well, and Blackgaard does too with the truth will set you free. Like it's that thing of like, right. So it's not like you can't just be like, well, I'm going to pluck a verse out of the Bible and that's the answer. Like understand the context and what's being said and talk to people who know stuff.
Well, and also just embrace the fact that it's probably not as black and white in reality as you think it is, and just embrace that and be like, you know what, I can find peace in feeling like I've put in the work to know that the shade of gray that I see it as is probably closer to what it actually is rather than the black and white that I've been presented. And just kind of be like, you know what, this is good enough for me, and if I look back in 5 years and be like, I was completely wrong, that's fine, because everybody's still learning, everybody's still figuring out who God is and what it means to follow him,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really know that I have much else to say in regards to this episode, other than it's been a delight. It's been an absolute delight to listen to these episodes. To finally be done with Blackgaard is kind of exciting. I'm excited to move on to the part of this show that is not us covering a giant saga.
Yeah, it's fun doing little bits and pieces of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you to everyone who has kind of jumped on for this Blackgaard stuff. I hope you stick it out as we cover other stuff that is better or worse, kind of going forward, or at the very least, just different. Yeah. And as our format can be a bit different because we're not beholden to a 30-episode arc. So just thanks for coming along for the ride, guys. That takes, I don't know. There's a level of trust and a time commitment that come with that, and just, it's cool.
Yeah, it is very, it is genuinely impressive to me that we have consistent listeners. I think that every now and then we put out an episode where I'm like, oh, that's funny. That'd be something I'd listen to. But people that listen to every week, I'm like, how? You don't get bored? I get bored of podcasts I listen to every week most of the time. At some point or another.
Not really me, but
No, Dylan is a camel. Dylan is a podcast camel. He has the endurance.
Putting that in my bio.
Podcast camel.
I'm not gonna promote anything.
Nah, I ain't got nothing to promote.
All right, then. So, obviously, done with Blackgaard. Next up, previously announced, but we'll hit it again here. We are doing a 3-parter on the other side of the glass. And then we've got some other ideas.
That's New Odyssey, just to clarify. If you haven't heard of it,
it's not New Odyssey.
It's album 48.
New Odyssey is post-album 50. Come on.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I respect that. This is 15 albums in the future. We were jumping 15 albums.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's, we're jumping 10 years in the future. But that is, so that's the 3-parter we're doing next. That should be really fun. We're also going to be doing some guest episodes, most likely. We've got, and then we're going to kind of figure out what we're going to jump onto next. There's a couple different things we've been talking about, but also if you've got something that you want us to cover and you'd be interested in hearing us talk about, I will not guarantee anything, but you are welcome to let us know, whether that be on an email, on Twitter, on a voice memo, on Anchor for some reason, kind of whatever, Andrew's Instagram DMs, whatever your preferred method whatever your preferred method of contact is, just drop us a line, and we're curious to know
what do you guys want us to cover.
Because we've
covered the two big ones. When we started this, it was okay. We started Novacom, and
that's probably all we're gonna do.
Yeah, and then midway through, when we were like, okay, we're gonna keep going. Well, we're gonna cover Blackgaard at some point.
Yeah,
and then it was just a matter of biding our time, and now we're done with that. So,
I know.
Obviously we have ideas, and there's so much Odyssey to talk about.
It's like 900 episodes. Yeah. We're not gonna run out.
No,
but. I'm just curious as to what other people want to listen to. Know full well that just because you stated something does not mean we will cover it. We might wind up covering something like the Twilight Zone that people do not like. But also,
but what if we put out a Twitter poll and say 100 people said that we should cover one album, and that album is not The Ties That Bind.
Yeah, no, that
album is not getting covered here.
That is off limits.
I don't want to become an alcoholic, and that album might push me over.
Yeah. So yeah. Let us.
Why do you drink? Focus on the family.
So yeah. I don't know. We'll figure out what we're doing. And regardless, I hope you guys come along for the journey. But until then, we'll be back in a week to talk about The Other Side of the Glass, Part 1. Goodbye, friends.
Goodbye.
Wad Fam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliation with Adventures in Odyssey or Focus on the Family. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at WadFamChalkPod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. Blackguard's Revenge Part 2 was hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Sabo, and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.